Savvy Central Radio, drawing out the best from our guest, with your host, Christina Nitchman.
The AME Experience is a collection of media outlets determined to bring art awareness and appreciation to the community. We cover all kinds of art, from traditional to cultural. We cover entertainment news and take you up close and personal to places of interest to visit, art, celebrities, and more. Join us for our TV show, radio show, and magazine. We are always looking for talented artists and celebrities to cover. Our goal is to raise money for grants to help those interested in a career in the arts. Art is a great way to express yourself without joining gangs or any other destructive behavior. Be a part of the movement and get inspired at AME Experience at theamemagazine.com. Get ready and start your engines for our 4th annual Aviation Month at Savvy Central Radio. Hello everyone and welcome to Savvy Central Radio. This is your host, Christina Nitchman. Each week Savvy runs weekly broadcasts providing entrepreneurs and successful individuals a platform to express their dreams, hopes, lessons learned, expertise, and wisdom with the world. Our guest today is Ariel Tweto, actress, writer, and producer, currently working on a number of projects including a new reality show as well as her own cartoon. She is also involved in multiple projects related to suicide prevention in Alaska. Ariel is best known for her work on Flying Wild Alaska on Discovery Channel. Popping Bubbles came about after an interview Ariel had with CBC Radio where she discussed suicide prevention. Find out more about Ariel and her non-for-profit at poppingbubbles.org. Hi, Ariel. Welcome to Savvy Central Radio. How are you this evening?
I am fantastic. I'm here in Alaska, so whenever I'm home, I'm always really happy. So, yeah. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Yeah, wow. I know we tried to connect. You had some funky weather the other day when you were trying to fly in for our interview.
Yeah, it happens all the time. So, I wasn't too surprised. But at this time of year, it's so foggy all the time. So, yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, please, no worries. I'm so glad that you could make the time. But girl, you have a very interesting background that I know our audience is going to have fun hearing all about. You have an amazing background that's led you to become an accomplished actress, writer, and producer. Share a little bit about your background and what led you to where you are today.
Well, I'm from a little village in Alaska called Unalakleet. And then I went to school in Boston for a couple of years to study TV and film production. Actually, I was studying sports broadcasting. And then once I learned that Boston is as cold as Alaska, I moved to California and then started studying TV and film production. When I was there, I randomly ended up doing this game show called Wipeout. And so I ended up falling in love with being in front of the camera and goofing off for I was like, people actually work and do this for a living. So I met a guy on the show, and me and him created Flying Wild when I was 20. We went and pitched it to every network that would let us in their office, and it ended up getting picked up by Discovery. And so then we ended up working on the show for about 4 years, and after that, it opened so many doors, and now I do a bunch of random stuff, and I love it, and I'm so lucky. So that's how I got into the TV and film production. I wanted to do a show about I had been gone for about 3 years from Alaska for college, and I was like, how could I get back home? And so I thought of my family, and they're all crazy pilots, and I was like, we could do a reality show about my family, and it happened.
And that's a dream come true. And was it shocking? Was it shocking to you and your family that people were interested and that Discovery was interested in doing a TV show, or is it something?
Oh my God, it was harder pitching it to my family than it was to Discovery, because my dad and mom are like, we're not interesting. Why do people want to watch us on TV? This is the worst idea ever. And I'm like, no, I promise. You guys are awesome. People will want to watch you guys. And so they didn't want to do it for a really long time. And then finally he was like, well, if it's going to help you in your career, then we'll do it. But after that, you're on your own, kid. And so, so he did it. And it was really hard for them, though. It became like a second job for them, and they're pretty private. But they, they'll do anything to help me and my sisters. So, they bit the bullet and ended up falling in love with our crew, though. We had the best crew in the world, and couple of them go and visit my parents a lot. One lived with them for a while at her cabin. So they ended up really enjoying the whole experience.
Yeah, I have to tell you, girl, I watched the show. I don't have cable now. I did at the time, so I watched the first season. I wasn't able to watch the next two seasons, but I just love the deep community of your family, and that's missing from a lot of American families. So I think that's one reason that people love to tune in, even if you didn't like aviation or have a fascination for how an airport might run or an airline. I think just seeing the tight net of your family really intrigued Americans.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. We wanted it to make it as real as possible. I know a lot of reality shows are so overproduced, and our goal was just to be authentic and show the real Alaska, because everyone thinks of Alaska and they think of like igloos and happy little Eskimos and penguins and like polar bears, but there's actually a lot of darkness to it. And so we wanted to actually show what real Alaska is like and how people in the village survive and how it really is up there. And so I think our whole production team and the crew and everyone, they did a really good job at capturing that.
Yeah, I mean, it was really educational to me because I had heard a number of years ago, and you can tell me if this is true or not. I was studying to get my private pilot, and I stopped in the middle of training. But I had heard a number of years ago that if you become a citizen of Alaska, that, a resident over a year, that you can start to get your private pilot and then write it off your taxes. So I thought, that might be a great idea. I can move to Alaska.
Geez, I didn't even know that.
I don't know if it's true now. I mean, I could have sworn I read this somewhere, but then when I started to hear how it's really difficult being there and seeing your show, it's like, interesting. It might not be for me.
No, yeah, it's just a rough way of life. But then, I mean, if you're cut out for it, it's like the best thing ever. It's really fun. And the people that are like, all our pilots are really close. It's a really like family business. So everyone becomes your like brother or your sister or your like uncle or crazy grandpa. But that's interesting. I'm going to look that up though about the tax write-off, because I'm missing out on that, if that's true.
Yeah, and are you going to go for your instrument rating? I know you have your private pilot certificate.
Yep, I'm going to hopefully do that later this month or sometime before the new year. And then me and my dad in January want to go get our helicopter license.
Oh, fabulous.
In Montana.
Yeah. Well, check that out. If that tax code is for real, then maybe you can get a tax write-off. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that information.
Yeah, I'm right. But what was really, really cool also is I heard you have a non-for-profit called Poppin' Bubbles, and part of that darkness you're sharing that goes on in Alaska, and it's really difficult living there. I think that's part of the reason why you started this non-for-profit, correct? Mm-hmm. Yeah, share a little bit about it.
It started, well, I've had over, it is hard, like, living up there, but I've had over 27 of my really good friends and family commit suicide or die by suicide. And after my really good friend did it, I was like, I can't just sit back anymore and like wait for my other like cousin to do it or another friend to do it. So I was like, what can I do to like get people to share with them that life is worth living, that you're the one in control. If you have a goal or a dream, you could do it. It doesn't matter that you're from a little village. Like, look at me. I grew up in a small village and now I get to travel the world and share stories and entertain people for a living. So I'm living proof that it doesn't matter if you're from a village of 4 people or like a city, you could do whatever you set your mind to. If you surround yourself with good people, if you have hobbies, if you work hard, then you could do it. And so like with Poppin' Bubbles, I go around to schools all over the world and share my story with the kids, and just I want to just motivate them to like figure out their reason for waking up in the morning and to have like a purpose, because everyone has a purpose. And a lot of the kids out there grow up with like not having people to tell them that they're special and they're important and that they could do whatever they want to do. So the Poppin' Bubbles, the name came from the whole sense of like, we all live in our own little bubble. We're scared to leave the village, or we're scared to talk to people that look different from us or that believe in a different religion or are from a different culture. And I was like, I just want to go around the world and pop people's bubbles and make the world a like closer or less judgmental place. And so I'm rambling, but that's what it's about.
No, it's a really good cause. And it's not just for, I mean, you don't really have to be from a really small village to have that problem. I mean, for me, Ariel, before I started my business here 3 years ago, I was scared to death. I worked in a cubicle for 20 years, never stepped out of it. I had like maybe 3 friends and my life was very, very small and I was very lonely a lot. And it wasn't until I stepped outside and, like, as you call it, pop the bubble, that my life started to really explode with opportunities.
Oh, well, thank you for sharing that story. So yeah, it is. Everyone has a little bubble that they need to pop, and so man, you should travel with us and share your story because I want to eventually make it like a team thing because not everyone could relate to my story, but no, that's the goal is to get people from all different backgrounds and share like the bubble that they popped because yeah, good for you. That's awesome.
Oh, thank you. And you know what I'm thinking is I don't know about you, but I know for me that when the seasons start to change and now we're in fall and things start getting dark and it's like dark when I leave for work and it's dark when I come home, that plays a big part of me and my mood and kind of being depressed. Does that happen for people living in Alaska because it's dark a lot, a part of the year?
Yeah. No, it definitely does happen. And so in the villages in Alaska, we don't have psychiatrists or people that deal with mental health issues. And I think there's so much like undiagnosed depression and like the seasonal disorder and like mental, like bipolar disorder. And everyone just thinks it's normal to go through the day sort of sad. And so that's a big part of Poppin' Bubbles too, is to bring awareness of like being okay to talk about maybe being bipolar or anything. And so that we're trying to do that. But then, no, the season definitely affects your mood and your attitude and stuff. But, and with that, like a lot of the teachers that go to the villages to teach, they're required to take vitamin D pills and it helps so much. And I'm like, why don't they make it a requirement for kids to take it or like everyone in the village? It totally affects how like your mood. It sounds so simple, but just little things like that people don't know about. And so you just have to surround yourself with like people too with positive energy when you're living out there because it does get lonely and it's so dark and it's so easy to turn to alcohol or drugs or something. So you have to be aware of it and just knowledgeable and then actually like work hard at being happy. Like I read happiness books all the time or how can I get happier? 10 ways to be happier. Why is this person like I read so much about being happy and it is hard work, but I mean it pays off and it's something that doesn't come naturally when you're living up there in the winter. You have to work at it.
Wow. And I thought for you, Ariel, that was just your natural inclination. You seem like the most happiest person I've ever met, actually.
Well, thank you. I mean, I am generally pretty happy, but then there's days when I'm just like, I don't want to get out of bed. Like I want to just stay in my warm little blankets and like sleep. But then you have to remind yourself like, no, get out and do something, move around, go. And running for me, that's my like secret. I think I've run every day since 2001. And so that I have such I never know my schedule. So running is the one thing that sort of is what I'll do no matter what. And so that helps me a lot. It's good to have like a one sort of thing that is normal. Yeah. And so that helps a lot too.
Yeah, passion of sorts. And girl, I was really intrigued seeing your training, your pilot training. And for me, I only got not too far in, about 13, 14 hours. Throughout your training, was there some really, really tough times or during your training that you wanted to quit? What were your toughest times and how did you overcome them?
Honestly, ground school was my hardest thing. I'm not very good at sitting still and studying. So ground school for me was the hardest thing. It took me 3 times to pass my written test. And that for me was the hardest. And then just dealing with the Alaska weather, because there are days where I couldn't fly for like 5 days in a row because it was like foggy or it was really windy. And so that in Alaska is really hard because it's hard to stay like consistently flying when you have to take that many days off and when you just you're so antsy to go get up in the air, but then like the weather or there's just so many factors flying up here.
Wow. And I always say, watching your show, I now feel like they always say, if you can drive in New York or you can make it in Europe, but I always say, if you can drive in New York, because it's so crazy on the street, you can drive anywhere. And I think if you can fly in Alaska, you can fly anywhere in the world. There's
yeah.
You can't do.
That's so true. I totally believe that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my God, there's the biggest dog I've ever seen in my life. It looks like a bear.
Maybe
oh, I'm sorry.
No worries. Well, I'm wondering through your, you had mentioned that your family participated in the Discovery hit show Flying Wild Alaska. And were there some really big key points that you learned or grew from during that whole experience?
In terms of TV or life or?
Just life in general, life, business, just from the whole experience of doing the whole show.
Just getting to hang out with my parents so much. Like I had been gone from for college for a few years, and being able I don't know, I feel like I grew up in college a lot. So as an adult, to get to hang out with my mom and dad, we became like best friends. And then watching their work ethic, like they're still working. They're working right now. They're loading planes as I'm like chatting on the phone. But no, they work so hard every day, Christmas, New Year's, just constantly, and they're always together. And so, like, I learned a lot about relationships while watching them, just their work ethic, just how they complement each other, and how sometimes, they get sick of each other and they bicker and stuff. But at the end of the day, they eat their yogurt, they go on their walks, and then give me like a back massage. I'm like, you guys are crazy. But notice that I think that was the biggest thing, was just watching my parents like interact with each other and then work together and run a huge airline and not lose their marbles.
Yeah. And it's very impressive because I think people who don't own a small business don't realize the complexities, that it's not something you get to turn off and go home at the end of the day at 5:00. You have to live, breathe, eat it 24/7. And what I really loved, as you mentioned, is really seeing the connectedness of your whole family, but really seeing you all work together. That I'm sure things aren't always easy, but you all work together to make it happen.
Yeah, no, it's definitely hard. Our day, my parents are on the phone at night, sometimes till 11, 12, in the summertime, like 12 o'clock at night. They're just constantly answering phones, answering the radio, like they're just nonstop. And so, their brain never shuts off. My dad, like even in his sleep, he'll be talking about, hey, Jim Tweto here. I'm like, he's sleeping. But no, it's funny. But I've learned a lot from my parents. They're amazing.
Yeah, and it's really cool to hear that you've built a really cool relationship as adults, because I don't think that gets thought about a lot, that, you have one relationship as a kid and your parents treat you one way, but it's really neat when you become an adult that you can build a new relationship that's like now you as adults being, building a relationship.
Oh, yeah. I've been with my parents the last 3 nights, and it's so fun, eating dinner together, having a glass of wine, chit-chatting about relationships and that actual adult things, instead of just being disciplined when growing up. So I love that we've all became closer and closer as we've been all getting older.
Yeah, that is so cool, girl.
It's nice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I'm so lucky, and I definitely don't take our relationship for granted. My parents have been so supportive, and I can't believe they dealt with me and my sisters all these years. I don't know how they did it, but they did.
Oh. That's because you're your parents and they love you guys. Parents can't.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, do you have kids?
No, I don't. No, I don't. And actually, I've never really wanted to be a mom. It's not been something that was on my horizon. I've always seen other things like the show, and now my partner and I, we like to go flying. So my passions have been elsewhere then.
Yeah, that's how I am too. I love people too much, and I like traveling, and I like not having plans and just getting up and going. So I don't know. I never say no to anything, but right now I think I'm a mini you.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I know you said you were going around the country meeting a bunch of folks. Have you met a bunch of folks that have kind of had different impressions or maybe different myths or understandings about Alaska and stuff as you met different people?
Yeah. Radio interview. Oh, sorry, someone is talking. Probably the craziest one. Well, I still get, whenever I'm in LA and going to Alaska, they ask for my passport. I'm like, really? Alaska's part of the U.S. I get a lot of people think there's penguins walking around everywhere.
I wish.
Me too. I still get asked if I live in an igloo. And another one, people sometimes they think we're an island by Hawaii because on the map that we're both down there. I'm like, really? They think we're an island by Hawaii? I'm like, it's definitely not tropical.
How would that
But yeah,
work?
it's crazy. I have no idea.
Can you imagine if you could just swim out and go to Hawaii for a suntan and then go back to Alaska?
That would be amazing. Oh man, that would be epic.
Yeah, it would be epic. I saw this past June, Ariel, that you also did some training videos or a training video with Jason Shepard of M0A on stalls. Talk a little bit about what you did with him and what was your hope that people would gain from watching the training video?
Yeah, so we were in North Captiva, Florida, shooting a documentary called The Flying Again movie. Mm-hmm. And while we were there, he was like, hey, he has a YouTube show. And so he was like, hey, do you want to do a couple episodes of my YouTube show? And I was like, why not? And so, so I just got to sit in the plane with him and he taught me how to do different maneuvers. And then we just goofed off and got more hours.
Cool. And how were stalls for you? Were they ever freaky for you? I mean, they were freaky for me, depending on the airplane I'm in.
Yeah, they're a little weird, but then I love stuff that gets my heart pumping, and I like anything that feels like it could go wrong sort of is exciting. So stalls are just so unnatural, and so that was interesting. And yeah, it was scary for a little bit, but once you are confident and you're like, yeah, I got this, then it's pretty empowering.
Yeah, it is. Because, I mean, in essence, you want to know how to do them real well so you can land and never crash into the runway.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good thing.
Not the thing we're going for. Not everyone in my audience is a pilot, but the ones, so there may be some people listening in who are intrigued and wanting to learn to fly, but they're not quite sure they could accomplish the feat of learning to fly. What would be your advice to them?
Just do it. So many people say, I want to do this and I want to do this and I want to do that. And they just keep saying, I want to. You just have to go and do it. And so I think that's the first step. And then just, surround yourself with pilots, start learning the lingo and start, I feel like when you put yourself, it's like learning a language. If you immerse yourself and actually go to that country, you pick it up so much quicker. So I think if you put yourself in a pilot environment, even just hanging out at the airports and watching, then I feel like that would help a lot. And then, of course, if you're like me and you're not a ground school kind of person, just start reading everything planes, and it will come so much quicker. Yeah. And go up flying while you're doing ground school. It helps so much more sense, and you actually start connecting the dots when you're like, oh, that's what that sentence means, is when you're doing this. And so that helped me a lot, was actually being up in the air and then going to do ground school.
Those are really good points. And I like that you mentioned going to the airport because my partner's a pilot. What helps is I'm always at the airport, and pilots love talking about aviation. They love talking about planes. So if you're interested, you'll get someone to talk your ear off about airplanes and anything you want to know about them.
Oh, 100%. Pilots they love flying and they love anything aviation. And so if you just go and talk with someone, and pilots love talking. Every pilot that I met, they're pretty talkative, and they have such great stories. At least the guys out here. So I don't know. That would be my advice, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's great advice. And, here's something I just thought of too, Ariel. There's a flight club in my area here, and there's a woman I just met recently who's had a great enthusiasm for wanting to learn to fly. And she started going to the flying club, even though she's not a pilot. And now she gets to go up almost every weekend. There's a pilot taking her up flying. And it's helping her get her groove and get interested and comfortable with the whole flying thing. And so, yeah, there you go right there. She got a hookup just by hanging out at the airport.
Awesome. See, you never know what's going to happen. That's the best thing, too, about traveling and meeting people. Whenever someone comes to talk to you, talk back. You never know, the person sitting next to you may be able to, help you, or you could help them, or, something. I don't know. Meeting people is, my favorite thing ever. It's just so interesting to hear someone's stories, because everyone you meet has, if you talk long enough, you'll hear a story that may affect you, or that's a universal story that any people could relate to from all over the world. So it's so important to be open and to listen to other people that you normally wouldn't talk to. So go out and chat with people.
That's right. Go out and chat with people today.
Yeah.
Well, girl, tell me what's on the horizon for you and your career in the near future.
So I'm working on a cartoon. I have the second season of my little PBS show, Native Shorts, came on a month ago. It started. I'm working on a bunch of little projects, and then we're trying to get a a travel show going. We've shot a couple episodes, and so we're working on that. My nonprofit has been booming, so we're doing a lot of stuff. We started another tour to go visit like 14 other schools in Alaska here soon. Yesterday, I went to one school in Northwest Alaska, Shaktoolik, and did a speaking tour there. Whenever I'm not doing TV, I'll try to do my nonprofit stuff. So just trying to learn how to balance those two worlds, and then get my pilot's license or my helicopter license in January. We just shot a Sperry thing. I was in Nicaragua and Portland, Maine for like 3 weeks doing stuff with Sperry. That will be coming out in, I think, the fall. What else is going on? There's a bunch of random stuff like that.
random awesome stuff. Well, before we head on out, I want people to find out more about your awesome non-for-profit Popping Bubbles, and that's at poppingbubbles.org, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
And we'll be updating the website soon. And this is me and then one of my best friends from college and then my really good friend from Canada. And then we have one other person, but it's just us four right now. So right now we're trying to raise funding. We're still working on our website. It's still really new. I finally got my first business cards today, so that was exciting.
Yeah.
But check out the website and we'll be updating it a lot in the next couple weeks.
Cool. And anyone who wants to get in contact with you to put you on a new commercial or to book you for something, or how can they do that?
They could go on my Twitter or my Instagram, and it has my agent's email address on. Or you could just contact me directly through Facebook or Instagram or Twitter.
Fabulous. And that's Ariel Tweto, right?
Yep. Yeah. Pretty original.
Yeah, pretty original. So spell your name so everyone knows how to find you.
ArielTweto.
Awesome. And I will also put that in the show notes so that people can just click on it if they didn't get that. And before we head on out, Ariel, is there any last words you'd like to leave with our audience?
Just to go out and explore, and you only get one chance to live, so might as well go have some fun and go and explore and talk to people and pop your bubble and try new things and just go and live the best life that you could live. And that's, I think, it.
That's it, girl. Yeah, pop the bubble, live outside the box, and live to the extreme. Awesome.
Oh, yes. Thank you.
It's been awesome having you out here today, Ariel, sharing your wisdom and gifts. Thank you so much for coming to Savvy Central Radio.
Thank you so much for having me on the show. That was fun.
Yay. Bye.
Yep. Bye.
Savvy Central Radio is home to over 100,000 listeners per month globally and runs in syndication on 8 AM and FM platforms, including iHeartRadio and 6 podcasting platforms. To find out more about our paid sponsorship opportunities or to become a guest and find out how we can help you get your message out to the world, call 718 area code 713-2289 or email at savvycentralradio@gmail.com.
Join our mailing list today by texting Savvy Radio to find out about upcoming guests and events and receive a free gift, how podcasting can help increase sales and influence in your business.